Hello fellow Zelda fans, I'm Brascoin and today I'm here with a video requested by the members of my Discord channel, my top 5 favorite Zelda bosses in the Legend of Zelda series. Starting off the list at number 5, we have the Helmerock King from the Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. In a game composed of cartoonish art styles and themes, it is hard to impress the magnitude of a boss fight, but The Wind Waker does not disappoint. After setting sail from Outset Island with Tetra and company, Link is catapulted into the Forsaken Fortress, the dungeon in which this King of Birds calls home. Sneaking our way through the fortress to reach the top where our sword has landed, we find ourselves right outside the door to the cell where the prisoners are being kept. Aryll has been found and a touching reunion ensues. It doesn't last for long, however, as moments after finding Aryll, the Helmerock King drops in right behind us. With one swoop, the giant bird snatches us up in its beak and ascends a couple stories to present us to his master. After a wave of dismissal by Ganondorf, the Helmerock King flicks its neck and sends the hero sailing halfway to Windfall Island. After adventuring the Great Sea and retrieving the Master Sword, we make our way back to the Forsaken Fortress once more, this time knowing that we will have to fight the monstrous bird. This time, after carefully entering the keep where Aryll is imprisoned, the hero is careful and quiet. After releasing the children and sending them safely away with the pirate crew, the room begins to fill with water, and the monstrous bird descends to capture us. Hopping from platform to platform, using the grappling hook to aid our leaps, we make our way to the top of the tower with the Helmerock King hot on our tail. Just before we reach the top, the bird lands in front of us, blocking our path, but using a hearty hit from the skull hammer, we knock the bird square in the forehead and send it plunging into the water below. Setting foot on top of the tower causes the floor behind us to close, a relief as the monster has been defeated and would surely be sealed inside. At the last moment, however, the Helmerock King shoots up out of the water moments before the floor closes completely. Now, the real fight ensues. This aerial enemy uses its flight spectacularly to its advantage and makes long swoops attempting to knock the hero off the edge of the platform. When unsuccessful, the enemy tries to use the gusts from the flaps of its giant wings to blow us into the spike-lined rim of the platform. This too proving unsuccessful, the foe will land upon the platform and proceed to attack us by pecking us with its beak. This proves to be to its folly. Missing the hero, the bird gets its beak stuck into the ground, providing the perfect opportunity we need to make a strike. Pulling the skull hammer from out of nowhere, we are able to smack the bird clean in the face over and over again until the helmet breaks. With the helmet gone, we are able to attack once more and finally beat this giant among birds. This fight mechanic, alongside the suspense of knowing the boss well before returning to the dungeon, nets this boss fight position number 5. Number 4, Twilight Igniter Physus from the Twilight Princess. Upon our first encounter with the Gorons, we can see that the mines are going to prove to be interesting. To start, we aren't even able to ascend the mountain. Attempting to do so yields us a Goron roll to the face and a prompt ejection off the mountain. Returning to Ordon Village, we talk with the last person who was able to beat the Gorons in a contest of strength. After talking with the mayor, we are gifted with the Iron Boots, an item that makes our burly young hero transform from the Goat Wrangler to a Goron Wrangler. Iron boots in hand, or on feet, we make our way back to Death Mountain to face our barrage of living boulders. Wearing the boots allows us to use our hero's strength to its fullest by providing us with the extra weight needed to stand our ground. This first Goron toss gives us the perfect foreshadow to how the boss fight would go. Making our way through the Goron mines, collecting the 4 keys from the Goron elders, we arrive before one of the coolest boss doors I have ever seen. On the other side, one of the hottest bosses Zelda has ever seen. Cringy pun aside, we enter to find a giant beast clad in shadows, held in place by a chain hanging from each limb. We are greeted with a terrifying roar as the monster before us ignites itself and breaks the chains free from the wall. Beginning its assault, Physus attacks by swinging red-hot chain whips at us. Dodging the chains, we see that Physus is dragging the chains connected to his ankles behind him, and wouldn't you know it, they are clearly meant to be grabbed and pulled. We instantly know what we must do: equip the boots and grab the chain. Doing this, however, proves to be unsuccessful, and we realize there is a little bit more to the fight. Pulling out the bow and shooting the beast in the forehead staggers the beast and momentarily blinds the raging inferno, and we are then able to equip the boots and tug on the chain and send the Twilight afflicted Goron sprawling across the floor, allowing us to cut the evil away from it. Repeating this process, we eventually free the chief of the Gorons from the shadow that plagues him. The foreshadowing involved in this fight and the sheer fun that this fight presents nets this a solid 4 on my top 5 list. Number 3. Girahim from The Legend of Zelda: The Skyward Sword. We first meet Girahim in the Skyview Temple, and he's pretty disturbing. Exuding a flamboyant and overdramatic attitude fitting of a Lord of Darkness, yields us the perfect opportunity to test the motion controls for the Wii Motion Plus remote. We have an intricate one-on-one sword fight with the demon, and it does not disappoint. We defeat him once to find that he has merely been toying with us, before he excuses himself from the battle. We fight this boss again in the Fire Sanctuary, where he shows us even more of that sword-licking personality. Girahim's character is masterfully developed in an extremely short amount of time through the use of a few short cutscenes. In a fight more difficult than the first, we are still able to quickly dispatch the Lord of Demons. The last time we get to fight Girahim is on the sealed grounds. Having taken Zelda to the past to awaken the Demon King demise, Girahim begins his ritual and fights the young hero as he stalls for the time needed for his ritual to complete. He explains how he is elegantly going to clinch victory by subjecting Link to a new move he came up with called the Endless Plunge. In giving us his detailed explanation of how this move will work, he accurately foreshadows his own defeat. As Link strikes with his sword, he simultaneously pushes back the Demon Lord until he knocks him clean off the edge before delivering a couple fatal blows to the chest. With Girahim's eventual defeat, his ritual has completed and Demise once again walks the land. In the ultimate plot twist, we find that Girahim is actually the sword spirit of Demise's sword, much akin to Fi, and is wielded by the Demon King Demise. This ultimate plot twist proves that Girahim has been just a sword this entire time. Coming in at number 2 is a boss that previously held my number 1 boss fight on my top 5 list for many years. Ocarina of Time's Bongo Bongo. First encountering this boss as it breaks free from its prison at the bottom of the well in Kakariko Village, the young hero is slammed about a bit and even knocked out before being told by Sheik that he must go to the Shadow Temple to aid Impa in once again sealing the monster away. Making our way through the invisible hazards and denizens that call the Shadow Temple home, we drop into the boss room of Bongo Bongo. What do we find upon our landing? A couple of bounces. Just as the young hero lands, drums begin to play, and once more the hero begins to bounce. But why? The source of the drumming is revealed. It is none other than the boss Bongo Bongo. With a glowing red eye and hands completely detached from his body, this shadow demon fights to the beat of his own drum. As the hero bounces up and down, he must carefully aim his bow at the drumming hands before Bongo Bongo's head lowers and Link is able to strike it with the Lens of Truth equipped. Stunning the demon, Link is able to get a few good strikes in before the process is repeated. The simplicity, fun, and originality that Bongo Bongo presents was far above its time, and I can say that I have enjoyed that fight so much that I have replayed the Ocarina of Time more than a few times just to stand before Bongo Bongo and beat the beast once more. Before I get to my number 1 boss fight of the Legend of Zelda series, this is the part of the video where most Zelda YouTubers would have a few honorable mentions, but instead, I wanted to give a huge thank you to Claire, aka Klep, for becoming my very first Patreon supporter. It helps me to create these videos and buy bigger and better equipment. Thank you, Claire, so much for your support. If you would like to help support my channel like Claire and help me to create videos like these, click the link to Patreon in the description box below. And now, to my top boss fight in the Legend of Zelda series. Topping off this list at number 1 in my top 5 Zelda bosses is the boss fight that very recently dethroned Bongo Bongo. Number 1 is of course none other than Breath of the Wild's Master Koga. This lovable goof that is the very reason for his own defeat has earned himself an honorable mention, because this meme of a leader is greatly hilarious to me. The true number 1 boss to this top 5 boss list is actually Monk Mos Koshia. This cinematic of a boss fight comes after 120 shrines, where upon reaching each shrine's end, a monk bestows us with the Spirit Orb. This time, however, upon opening up the coolest door I have seen in a Zelda game to date, by spinning a locking mechanism just like a screw, I stood before yet another monk behind its glass. I'm not gonna lie, Seeing this monk sitting before me, just like all of the others, I was instantly disappointed. I walked up to the Sheikah glass and gave it a tap just like the rest. The familiar congratulatory message began to appear, but then, out of nowhere, the fingers began to twitch. This monk that appeared to have been dead for quite some time stood straight up before me, full of life. Before I knew what was up, Monk Moskoshia teleported me to a platform far above the land of Hyrule, where I saw the most beautiful landscape of Hyrule. And this is where I got the fight that Master Koga should have given me. Taking a fighting stance, the Sheikah eye on his faith cloth flares up to a brilliant orange, and he vanished right before my eyes, only to appear right next to me. After getting in a few good shots, this monk teleports away to safety, and then Shadow Clone Ninjutsu Naruto style creates a wall of clones that simultaneously attack while hiding away the real foe. Picking out the real one and giving him a few good hits, you would think that he would repeat the same old attack pattern, just like all of the other bosses would throughout the Zelda series. But no, this beast of a Sheikah Crisp switches out his attack style yet again. He grows to a gargantuan size and goes full Guardian mode on us, firing off lasers like it's nothing. The lasers proving to be only a phase, he then summons metal spike balls much like Master Koga and begins to hurl them at us. After evading them all and hurling one right back at him, Monk Moskoshia is knocked down, and he can be defeated right there. Upon his defeat, he acknowledges us as a true hero of Hyrule and bestows us with a Master Cycle 0. This is for sure a boss fight that I did not think that we would get. And I am so glad we did. It is my favorite for so many reasons. The fact that it's with a Sheikah monk places it at the very top of my list. But not only is it against a Sheikah monk, it's one that catches us by surprise. None of the other monks before it had even attempted to move, attempted to attack, attempted to try us in any way other than using our wits. But this Sheikah tests us by our attack power, by our courage to attack an undead monster. But it's no monster. This was a planned out trial. This is a Sheikah monk, a teacher to whom we are able to prove our courage, to test our power, and to show our wisdom we have accumulated throughout the entire game. That is why this boss fight for the second DLC pack has earned the #1 position on my top 5 list. Thank you all so much for watching my top 5 3D Zelda bosses list. If you have an idea that you would like to see me do, leave it in the comments below. The top voted videos in my Discord channel are the ones that I choose to do. So if you want to have a hand in creating these videos with me, going over the lore, creating theories, as well as top 5 listings, use the link below to hit me up in my Discord channel. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I am Brasscoin, and this has been just one side of the coin.